Hey chat, how's it going? Welcome back to Essentials. Welcome back to our coverage of the ETF2L Nations Cup, the 6v6 variant. It's the 10th iteration once more. We are looking at the final week of group matches, I believe. Or is it still round 2? I don't remember. It's been a little bit wacky with the Bud Cup in between, but it is round 2, so there you go. It's going to be an interesting matchup. Well, kind of interesting. It's going to be England versus the Netherlands. Everybody would probably expect England to be the winners here, realistically, but could be a bit of an interesting matchup regardless. You never know. There's always upsets that could happen. Before I get ahead of myself, though, hi, I'm Cerny, joined by JMax on production and Ben on the mic. How you doing, man?
Doing very good, yeah. Like you say, we're spoiled for TF2, right? This off season, like everyone was worried. Oh my god, the season's going to be like us 4 months of no sixes. But then there's Nations Cup, there's Bud Cup happening, there's all sorts going on in these times in between. And yes, like you say, this is actually a week 2 game. This game should have been last week, but both these teams, plenty of players on them involved in the Bud Cup and the 6v6 Summer Brawl. And yeah, that meant that this game has been pushed forward a week. Netherlands and England both actually winning their first round games. England got a default win against Croatia, but Netherlands actually had a pretty close fought battle against Ireland in the other game in this group, and that was a pretty exciting one. But yeah, this is like essentially the battle for top spot, right? On the assumption that England beat Ireland in that next game. So yeah, kind of all to play for, right? Because it's important to get the highest seed going into playoffs. It means you potentially get an easier road.
Yeah, and I mean, Netherlands taking away the points from Ireland means that they've at least put themselves in a nice spot to potentially still get the playoffs anyway, right? Because top 2 from each group should make playoffs unless there's some freakish nature of Lord knows what going on. So yeah, realistically, they've already put themselves in a nice position, even should they not take home any points tonight against England, a powerhouse team featuring, pretty much. I'm pretty sure every player on that team has won Prem at some point.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I'm looking at the team right now. You got Tiger, Nikki, Pappy, Thomas, Mac, and Otto. I'm pretty sure everybody on that team, not together, but everyone on that team at some point has won Prem multiple times, even. So, it's quite the stacked team compared to the Dutch challenges on the other side. There's still talent on that team. It's just not quite the same caliber of Prem winning experience. Let's say it like that.
Yeah, I wanted to point out on that Dutch side is in that game against Ireland, Salty had a great game and was like on pocket scout and had such a good job, particularly on process, put up some pretty stellar numbers. But Salty won't be able to make it for this game because they've got a replacement in. I believe it's Annie is taking over the pocket scout role, so kind of big shoes to step into because Salty did so well last time. And yeah, again against a team like this where it's all basically Prem winners, like everyone has to be perfectly on their A game to stand much of a chance.
We'll see if they can step up to the challenge on the Dutch side. And I suppose if we're not going to have much else to talk about, there's just a quick prediction. If you were going to put any sort of numbers down, any pin on it for the end of Granary, what are we going to be looking at when these teams are done?
Is it boring for me to say 5-0 to England as an English person? Can I say that? Is that biased on my end?
Being a
I don't
biased
know,
caster is fine. That's how these go.
I don't know. The Netherlands look good, right, against Ireland, but there's a difference between like looking good against Ireland and like, yeah, obviously they've got plenty of like high div players, right? As in like plenty of like Div 1, Div 2 players, but England, like you said, it's basically all people who've won Prem. Like, I don't know. I can only see
And
this going
land,
one way.
even. And land. That's the next level above it, right? So, no, I don't disagree. I think, realistically, I don't think anybody's not expecting England to at least come out swinging. Potentially get quite a few rounds on the board straight away, but who knows? We'll see. Maybe England can, throw at some point. The Netherlands will stabilize. We'll get a better round going. Who knows? For now, we're into our first little mid-fight, and we'll see how they take it away. What the stage will be set as they take it away straight into it with just the usual Granary rollout. They're just spamming across. Yak going through garage and all that stuff.
Thomas
Spamming
in
across
already.
All right. Okay. No, that's a new. There goes the entire Dutch combo. Just deleted off the face of the earth. Yak on 8 HP as well. It's basically only a single scout left, and he's trying to fend for himself. Yeah, no, that's not happening either. I don't know how Yak is alive, but he's not living for long with those 8 health points. I mean, if he gets out, more power to him, but... No, that's a quick first mid-fight, huh?
Yeah, we've seen Thomas put up those sorts of numbers on Scout before, but on Soldier. It's been a while since we've seen him on that class, but yeah, great bombing behind, just landing the entire team. That's the thing when you're rolling out garage, it can be so vulnerable when you're trying to walk out through that bottom doorway, and yeah, you go straight into those big rockets in from Thomas. And the bombers on the other side, they get onto Mac, but they don't get onto the all-important one of Auto, who is just safe in choke the entire time and has a massive Uber charge advantage to start walking all the way up into top lunchbox already to try and get some pressure into second.
Well, we'll see if they can keep this going forward. Crucially enough, they've taken so long that the Dutch players might actually get an Uber sooner rather than later. I mean, Syken's getting up there on 75% already, and the slower this English team moves, the more chances they have on the Dutch side to actually protect this last point as best they can. They got that level 3 sentry to go through as well. The Uber not yet used for the English side, though. And the heavy coming out on Ellis as well, so this could actually be a hold. Matter of fact, now the Ubers are in play. Finally, for the Dutch side, they're going to use that out, and Auto's in no danger. They're just going to sacrifice Mac to the gods of the Dutch Uber and come in with their own soon rather. There you go. Right after, to clean up any Dutch players that are now remaining on that point, or much rather not, because they're all dead and in the respawn queues. Skyro trying his best there, but that's not going to happen either. And there you go. 1-0 for the English. However, that was about 2 minutes that they held on the Dutchies. Good enough.
Yeah, it was a weird one, right? Like, because they sort of pushed in, it's like, it's a slight ad, but they just get the force onto Syken, and it's like, wait a second, we just haven't used yet, and they get the 1 kill onto Mac, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, we'll just rotate back out, rotate around, and we'll just take it in with Uber ad, and we'll just pretend it was Uber ad all along, right? It's like a successful sack, essentially, with that pressure in, with just only Mac going down to that Uber. So really well played there, well kited from the rest of the England side, like you say, just over 2 minutes for that first round. But Tiger getting caught out early on this second mid could spell a bit more danger over on the English side. Thomas in a fight with Geordie over in Garage 2. He's going to win that one out just about in terms of health as Alice has come round to join. And actually, this mid has gone the way of the Dutch. Matt getting caught out in choke 2, Geordie running through on the flank, and maybe there's a chance to push him further here.
Quite the story there, Yak winning the duel against Mac. The brethren in name, almost. An interesting one indeed, that they happen to have this mirror matchup. And yeah, a one mid for the Dutch, very decisive. I mean, I say decisive. They just bullied out the English players. Obviously, it's not like a wipe or anything of that note. They're going to have equal Uber situations on the second point now, and they're rearing to go up that sandbox as well, with the entire combo basically getting cut off now by the soldier, but they're going to have to use to just get into this point, and if they can get onto auto there as well, they will force the exchange, even if it's a much better Uber for the English. It is out of the equation with Geordie taken down, though. It's not going to be for free. They're going to have to bleed that one player, and England are feeling frisky already, taking out Skyro on the side there as well. They do lose Pappy, but they have so much ground already. Yak's caught out as well in no man's land, taken care of, and it's looking like the English can probably keep rolling this forward now with no demo to worry about, and as long as you don't have some sort of cheeky hiding soldier somewhere, maybe, but they're just gonna hold yard for the time being, I guess. They're not
slow,
too
right,
keen.
on the English side.
Yeah.
Like, they're still waiting on Nicky. Pappy only just spawning in 2, so yeah, maybe they can't go too much further forward with this, but these spawners coming from the forward spawns over on the blue Dutch
Geordie
side.
with a high bomb onto the combo, does not opt for the medic there, wants to settle for a soldier kill, doesn't get that either though. Just denied by the scout, unfortunately, but respect the initiative. Maybe it's gonna force the hand of the English to try and do something on their side here. Maybe send something in, but they're being methodical and slow about it. Tiger gets a lot of damage coming into through choke, but they're still not dying on the side of England. The Dutch aren't finding the frags, they're getting killed themselves. They're trading out a little bit on either side here, but no scouts now for the side of Netherlands means the Uber is used, and Otto much later on his, just trying to catch these players as the Uber fades. Otto's doing such a good job blocking
brutal.
that. Oh, okay, I was gonna say Nicky's not hitting the shots, but he hits that one, and that's what matters. Cleans up the medic kill, and it's basically free pickings for the English at this point. Just keep Otto alive, play it around the heels, and they should have this midpoint in the bag. Even if they gotta back out for now, surely the re-aggression is gonna come through sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and again, these spawners are a little bit slow, and they're still going to try and walk this in just with heal ad at this point. Yeah, with Uber so high, Alice getting caught out on low ground, and the soldier of Skyro too. So that's both flank players down. The bomb comes in from Yak though. Does land one pipe, I believe it's a Pappy, but not going to do any more. Auto lives to fight another day, and that's 3 players fed in for this. One of which is going to miss the forward spawn. I believe Skyro and Alice both going to get in that forward spawn, but still there's 21% on this ad. There's still pressure coming in over from Z and from Lunchbox, so the English side, they want to work this, they want to go further.
Yeah, I suppose you can't blame them. They have a bit of an ad to press with it as well. It's not much, it's about 20%, 25%, but probably not enough to try and roll this into a last whiff immediately. However, they could just do the same push they did last time. If they get away with it once more. They're going to Uber early this time around instead. And we'll see how the Dutch respond to it. They finally get their own Uber as well as point push is put on. They just about get it to get out of spawn. Mac trying to spawn cap them. is not going to get away with it. And matter of fact, somebody else might not get away. Otto, very low on health, just narrowly escaping Jordy's rockets, living for the time being, but Happy not quite meeting that same fate, will go down, get cleaned up top, and the Dutch hanging on for another day as Tiger tries his best to get into last, but he's not going to be able to do that alone either. And it looks like just about Dutchies have stabilized to a point where they can actually push into second here. Thomas gets taken down, and England just has to keep conceding ground more and more.
Yeah, absolutely. Well held. Really well done there from the Dutch side. Yeah, getting that heavy up and getting a much better Uber than last time. Obviously, before we saw them get forced out super early, but this time they were able to milk just long enough to have a good enough Uber to stay in that fight. And yeah, winning a couple of those big fights in top lobby as well, meaning that players trying to get into the flanks. Obviously, so Thomas and Tiger both trying to go for plays late on there, just getting caught out. And yeah, really good diligence there from the Dutch side. But it does mean, though, with the English team running back in, they're going to be able to cap up second. They can just go back exactly where they left off. And they're just going to walk this in straight away. It looks like Tiger's just running in, trying to play some cap time already. Jordy going to bump straight onto the combo. Onto Otto, who drops on the way in to a sticky bomb from Yak, who also picks up Tiger. Nicky now in, finally gets the force over onto Sycons, but there's only 3 players left alive with this English side.
And Mac can't even get anything done either against Ubered players. They had a beautiful sticky trap, but it's not going to be enough to take down anybody with. And they do manage to clean that kill up as well. They did lose Sycons and Yak, though, in the meantime. There's just a cheeky little flank by a soldier named Thomas, who manages to slip in and clean up those couple of frags. Matter of fact, another nice one here onto Alice as well. They didn't even get second either. It means they're not going to slow down this English front whatsoever. Jordy's trying his best to maybe cut somebody off upper, but doesn't even trade, and there goes the other soldier with Skyro down. Nobody's there to protect the point either. The spawner's way too long. Yak left all alone against 2 scouts, and that's all she wrote for that.
That was such a good opportunity, though, right? Like, the drop comes in on the auto and the kill into Tiger, like, at the same time, pretty much exactly from Yak. And they're up so many picks, but they're just dribbling out players on the way into lobby onto second point. Like, they're people capping alone, they're not holding the flanks enough, like, and yeah, like, people like Thomas just able to hide out in top lunchbox and bomb in late, and just such good damage that now 2-0 up, but Mac actually losing out the fight again. Yak doing really well, getting that kill on the mid, and this might be leave time for the rest of the English.
Yeah, Yak winning the demo diff once more. Definitely having a better lock on those mids for now, and it's enough to put the fear into England's hearts here as they have to back out of that mid fight immediately, try and hold on to Yard instead, which could be tough when you have one less person spamming choke points with explosives. However, Yak might just overextend and pay with his life. There you go, gets cleaned up. Maybe they clean up everybody. All of a sudden, they drop like flies on the Dutch side. Find only a couple of frags in consolation, but Sycons left completely alone, trying to escape with whatever scraps he's got left in Alice and Skyro, and they got to get out of that midpoint ASAP because they're not in a great position. I mean, they have an Uber, and if they got to use it, they got to use it here. Ideally, they exchange, obviously, but it's not a favorable one in terms of numbers or players for the Dutch just yet, and the respawn wave is only just arriving, so we'll see how this post-Uber goes. Once those Ubers fade, Otto is very low, so once he's no longer shiny, he's going to be in a lot of danger and has to find himself in a safe spot, aka the respawn queue. Fair enough, that's where he's going to go, and it looks like just off the back of that, actually, there's a little bit of a second win for the Dutchies here. They find another couple of good frags, and much rather one so far with Mac, but a lot of damage onto everybody. And finally, they clean it up. I mean, he does get Sycons, but will it be enough? It probably just slows down these Dutch players. They'll still hang on to mid, still fortify themselves here for the time being, and it's gonna buy Otto like maybe 20%.
Yeah, but the alternative, right, is that Sycons would have been at like 60 by now.
Yeah,
like, Sycons had used so much earlier, right? Like, that's such an important bomb over the top. That's the thing in granary mid, right? There's so many blind spots. Like, there's basically nowhere safe to stand on the floor as a medic because there's all these blind angles that you can have soldiers coming over from, and Thomas uses what there. It's absolute perfection. 2 nice rockets over onto Sycons, but again, these mid fights not been going all too well over on the English side, at least recently, as now the brawl comes in onto this yard areas. A lot of low players actually over on both sides, as somehow no one's gone down just yet until Alice gets caught overstepping slightly. So does Yak and Skyro.
Okay.
Dropping like flyers, never mind. I say people not going down, everyone's dropping.
They're just too far ahead of their medics. Sycons can't keep everybody alive. He's got to run away himself. And he's dropping more players just to live at this point. He's got Jordy as the only player alive, and some forward spawners now to try and keep him safe as he gets a lot of damage from spam as well, but manages to get out and does not get out. Pappy just runs right in, manages to clean up that damage with the help of his scouts, and it is a complete wipe. They mop the floor with this Dutch team right now. It's only Annie on last. They haven't even capped second yet, and they're already spawn camping. This is about to be a massacre because Otto has an Uber as well. And we're probably looking at another mid-fight momentarily.
Yeah, honestly, I thought for a moment then, because there was 3 forward spawns coming up for the Dutch on in front of their second point. I thought, okay, this might turn the fight. Sure, they get out. Maybe there's like they're 1 player down, but they can at least hold inside the point a second. But the bombs come in from those soldiers, and Pappy in particular did so much damage into that shutter that everyone just got obliterated. And like you say, there's nobody alive. Everyone can just start capping last already before the second point was even finished up. And yeah, 3-0, but these mids, gotta say, have looked pretty decent from the Dutch side, but this time they're gonna have a crits to contend with, so that might spice things up a little bit for the English.
Interesting. If they can get that working fast enough, that might be the difference for Mac to finally win a demo duel here. We'll see how that matters, as Yak has been taken care of already, and there goes Sykens as well, so they don't even have to worry about the Uber. Matter of fact, the entire Dutch team is crumbling on the backs of that medic pick. Even if they find a little cheeky pick here, Alice is, you know, making his way back, might catch Mac unattended, but won't be able to get to him in time, has to live instead, and they gotta contend with this Kritzkrieg now, out of the side of the English, as Skyro is in behind, being a little bit of a Metal Gear Solid player, not accomplishing much so far, but you know, maybe he'll be a surprise X Factor at some point, as the Dutch are already holding last. They got a sentry up, they got a sniper as well. They still have a crits on the side of England, so these crits gotta hit. Those rockets gotta do something. A lot of damage, but no kills just yet. The 135 crit rocket, you hate to see it, and that's all she wrote for those. So we'll have to see how they do it in the tail end. Lots of damage out of Nikki, trying to just do his best to stay in there, and they do find 1 trade out frag onto Skyro instead. That's it, though. That's it. Now they gotta hold second.
Yeah, Skyro was involved in a very, very long 1v1 MGE session there against Thomas, just all around the entire second yard area. Like Thomas saw it pretty early, but like they're all just they've been medium range. No one's really going in to take too much damage. But eventually, yeah, the players just turn around from shutter and are able to kill that retreating soldier of Skyro. But now it's a weird situation, right? Because it's crits for Uber, with the crits pushing into last, but Sykens has, so how on earth do you think about playing this, right? Like, surely they want to get some sort of big crit out of Mac, but when the enemy's turtled up on last, it's super, super difficult.
At this point, you could even try to take the risk and just push out if you're the Dutch, right? You basically have a full Uber ad. The crits aren't going to do anything to you as long as you use your Uber at the right time and don't get caught in it. So, ideally, you would obviously use that to get into second here if you can break that English hold. As it stands, they're just going to get forced or use in to try and get in. I mean, they find Mac. That's a crucial target taken care of if the crits is going to come out. Lots of damage to the soldiers as well. Obviously, Otto hasn't popped his crits just yet. He's going to use it on Nikki instead. He responds with a kill onto Yak and tries to flash his other scout a little bit. Manages to get the kill onto Annie there as well. But that's all she wrote for those crits. So it's definitely not enough to push last with, especially when you're down 2.5 players. Just now getting the heals back onto Pappy. So they're not going to be able to push as easily, even if there's some couple of players respawning. The sentry's still in play. They're waiting for Mac to come back as well. It's not as easy as it might look.
Yeah, gun finally goes down, but like you say, there's the spawners are in, and there's just too many players alive basically on this Dutch side that it's gonna be so hard. But Pappy gonna bomb in just before Sykens is able to get this Uber charger up, and there's lots of pressure coming in. He's getting caught out by sticks too, so maybe this is what it takes to the Dutch into trying to go for something under second. They're looking interested. Skyro and Jordy are both playing up above. They're going to try and get it onto Thomas, who is just running last with a pickaxe out. I think Alice might be dealing with that one by the time they get there.
Oh, the crits come out though. They do find Sykens with it, and that's what matters. Sykens was close. If he not even had an Uber, I didn't quite pay attention. He was definitely close, and yeah, that's a problem. That's a big problem. Too aggressive for the Dutch there. They were a bit too eager. Got caught by the fast crit rate that they probably weren't expecting, and now they've got a couple of players trying to hold last year. They got respawners as well, but there's already such a hold here that the English have on the area, and there you go, making it 4-0, taking it 1 round further, making it match point for themselves as well.
Yeah, really nice stuff there from the English. And like you say, there's 2 picks and Uber v crits. Like, yes, it is theoretically possible to push out, but you've got to be so damn careful, and especially with the faster build rate on that Kritzkrieg, Sykens just wasn't quite aware of that possibility. And Nice little crits over the top. He's going to get that kill and seal the round. But 4-0, just over half the game played. And it's been one shimmering light for these mid-fights so far for the Dutch side. It has been these mid-fights. So see if they can get it working again. Pappy, the one jumping up high onto the lamp of both. Maybe going to try and land it in for some big damage. The lamp to the trade. Just decide to try and
Auto dies on the other side.
Auto caught out to stickies. All right.
Yak just sticky snipes those and manages to get that crucial, juicy medic pick onto the English side, which means no heals for anybody else. Obviously, that means you've already got a couple of players following suit. You've only got Pappy and Mac left alive with a combined health of less than 50, which means they're not long for this world. I mean, Pappy's left, I suppose. He's just left the area. He's in second, trying to find medkits, desperately begging for the location of them. As the auto comes up, still on the crit streak, still opting for that instead, and the Netherlands might just have a chance. The best chance they've had yet to move forward and actually get something going for once. Perhaps, just perhaps.
Yeah, there's a dream, right? They're going to deal with this play behind, which they have, and Skyro going to win out that fight against Pappy. And now with these three players, full Uber charge at the ready. They're starting to take left side yard. There's Thomas potentially coming in behind, who decides against it. Going to just go around to mid, I believe. Alice wins out that fight eventually with the 1-for-1 trade, but still big advantage, right? There's 30% away on these crits over on Auto. Second point isn't being defended by anyone other than a few lone sticky traps over from Mac. And yeah, this is a gold opportunity for the Dutch, right? Like, before, call my prediction wrong if they get one back here.
Perhaps. They just gotta get in quickly and not get caught out by any sort of crits that they have to worry about here. Tiger's up on the Putus as well, so they might be looking at laser beams sooner rather than later if they're not careful. They gotta get that Uber out there immediately, and the crits are in place, so that Uber is obviously as well, and they clean up the heavy. That's the very crucial pick to have there, with no other damage cards left as well besides Mac. They just play the point, and there you go. Just like that. Just fucking bully out everybody, and you get yourself around.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that the crits heavy is good once the enemy real Uber's faded, right? Like there, when you can just run down that heavy with the crits, like, yeah, I think there's a lot of damage still shelled out to the people not in the Uber, but like that heavy just lived for a matter of a couple of seconds, really, with a full Uber staring it down. So 4-1. So really nice work there from the Dutch, getting themselves on the board after some really nice work on the mid too, and Mac might actually be getting caught out by Yak once again. Mac gets
he wins
down.
These. Yak just wins these mids all the time. He does pay with life eventually, but they found a soldier frag as well, and Nicky goes down to follow suit. So again, the Dutch just in control of this midpoint, only losing Yak. I mean, it's not the most important player to keep alive. It is, besides the medic, but you know, you're still gonna keep going forward anyway. They're gonna probably take us into second, and I guess leave nobody fighting mid. Yeah, they just left a single scout behind, and he got doinked, and now Pappy's on 2 HP and manages to sneak past Yak. What is happening?
Way. Oh,
how is he getting away with this, man? There's no way.
No,
there actually is no way.
Yeah, wins the fight against Alice on the midpoint, and that's bought so much time. The trade comes out, so now finally both these teams full strength pretty much in this Uber exchange, but it looks like the Dutch Goons having to run all the way back out. Yak getting caught out, and Pappy's still alive, being a nuisance. Gets onto Alice once more, gonna bomb across, try and get some damage in onto Skyrim. Somehow he dies at their own hand. Also gets the arrow kill, alright. That's a
yeah.
Not really expecting all three players left up. There's a sniper in forward spawn of Yak. Just gonna try and get something, but this is not looking too great now for the Dutch side.
It's a curious choice to have your demo off class to sniper in the forward spawn. I guess there was nobody else that could have possibly done that job, and now you're just too committed to it. Yeah, it's time to switch off, man. Okay, he's decided. He's realized it's time to go back to what works instead. They gotta hold this. As soon as Auto switches back to that Uber, you can't just play that advantage, and now you gotta play it differently. You gotta try and hold this. They got Alice on the heavy as well on second, which is curious considering we got a scout to deal with on last already, and he's currently destroying Jordy. Matter of fact, he might just destroy out. Okay, no. Skyro's got that one on control. He hits the rocket there, but you gotta somehow hold the second now. We've got a heavy putting down some damage, and you're gonna just go out and try to force the exchange instead. Fair enough. Lots of flashing to be done for Auto, which means the Ubers are actually gonna fade around the same time, and it's gonna be on purely positioning and damage to be won in the post-Uber fight. Or maybe England are just not even committing. To be fair, they are up 3 rounds, and it's only 10 minutes left, so at the end of the day, they could feel free to take their time as much as they would like.
Yeah, absolutely, and I was worried for a moment there for the Dutch side because they had one spawner and Alice had to run all the way back to spawn on heavy to change back into scout, which took quite a while, but Auto gets caught out over in Lunchbox. Skyro with some nice couple of rockets there is able to find that frag, so 2 soldiers going down for the price of that medic kill. Or is it the price they're willing to pay? Thomas going to be hiding above, so when this push comes in, if he even manages to get through the doorway, there's going to be a lot of rockets there waiting for them on the other side of that shutter. But the Dutch have to just back up again, and he wins that frag. But 7 points capped up, and despite the Uberad, we've seen these situations go badly.
Yeah, English spam kind of working against them there actually, because if they hadn't spammed the Dutch as much, Thomas would have dropped directly on top of the medic. But actually spamming them back worked against them, and now you've got him picking up the minigun instead. So it's gonna be a lot of heavy that we're seeing tonight apparently, and we're gonna be seeing how the Dutch handle the situation, having to worry about a heavy on mid. Not something you encounter quite that often. Not something you, not a very orthodox strategy, but I suppose one that could work nonetheless, as the Uber is forced out of seconds, basically he has to use there, and they find Auto immediately to respond with. Oh my god, he did. They have to deal with his Thomas heavy. They don't have an Uber to deal with him. Okay, they do find him though. Enough damage. Syken's hanging on, clinging on to life barely, but now there's a scout in his face, and unless Annie can do it, just not quickly enough, even if he does eventually maybe find the frag, it doesn't matter, he gets cleaned up. And yeah, they had a nice chance there, but at least they find Auto and all of that, so the disad isn't going to be too huge, I suppose.
That heavy strike is brutal. That's absolutely brutal. That's so mean. That's so mean. Hiding on the health pack as well, like just tucked around the corner, like, oh man, like there's nothing that Yak can do at all there. Just gets absolutely destroyed at close range, and it takes so much time out of the Uber as well, because the Uber has to go back to deal with the heavy behind, and yeah, really rough one there over on the Dutch side, and 7 minutes left, pushed back to their own last, and also with a slight ad in terms of Ubers, but they might not even care, they're just going in on the one player and using it to pressure in. Skyro goes down, bombs come across the point over, Alice still trying to cling on to this point on the heavy, but damage chips away, and he's going to try and block in, and it's not going to be enough. 5-1.
Just like that, the first map has ended that quickly. Well, it wasn't a 5-0, like you said it would be, it was a 5-1. The Dutch managed to put a round on the board, even if it was against some crit shenanigans, where you could argue England maybe even throwing a little bit, however you interpret it, I suppose. That depends, but, you know, I guess you're making up for the Euro Cup, right? That's what you're doing right now. You're redeeming the country or something.
Yeah, I saw some of the nicknames were pretty funny. There was a few of the English ones had 2-1 England on it after the obviously England-Netherlands game, and then a lot of the Dutch ones ironically had "It's coming home" in their names. So everyone's sort of having a bit of fun with all that stuff. But yeah, like I've got to say, what a I was impressed with the Dutch. I undersold them slightly perhaps in the pre-game. Like, I think they had some great moments, particularly those mid-fights. I think they won more mid-fights than they lost, right? Like,
Yeah.
over the Dutch. They were doing really well, particularly Yak. We saw Yak was winning out that fight, the Demo Man spam, like, pretty much every mid. And of course, yeah, sometimes the soldiers over on the England side did put a stop to it, but when Yak was allowed to do his thing, like, he was absolutely destroying.
And he was putting down damage for his team alongside Jordy. You can tell those are the two most experienced players on that Dutch team, because they are trying their damnedest to put the team on their backs as well. Unfortunately for them, if you're looking at just numbers, they're a little bit better for the English players across the board. If you're just comparing role by role or anything like that, just fragging out on the scouts, tons of damage for pretty much every player on that team. I mean, even Mac doing more damage than he's used to on demo.
That's mean. But yeah, it was really well played, obviously, from England. Like,
Yeah.
we always seen how great they are, but like, yeah, like in general, I think aside from the mid fights, they were pretty much in control for a lot of that game, and obviously the scoreline shows that 5-1 on the first map of Granary. But there's going to be a second map, and I believe we're going over to Koth Product for map 2.
And we are indeed. It is going to be the probably less liked King of the Hill map that people tend to hate more, or maybe they've come around on it now, who knows. It is the one we're playing, though. And again, realistically, it could be like, oh, maybe this is a map that favors the Dutch, but I mean, come on. Like, half of this English team is just Witness, and Witness absolutely trounced anybody they ever played on this map. So, are we really gonna try to pretend they aren't gonna roll product? Maybe. Maybe there's some secret sauce they have here, right? Maybe the Yak Sniper is gonna be something we're seeing, and then I don't know who else picks up the stickies instead. Who knows, right?
Yeah, it's a really rough one, especially like if you're coming in as an underdog. Like product could be one of those really rough maps. Because it's one of those if it's going badly, like it doesn't just like end when you get like wrecked 5-0, right? You have to drag out through the rounds and the stats pad up and such. But honestly, I think like if you want a map that's like a continuous mid fight, pretty much, like I think for the Dutch side, maybe this is as good as they can hope for in that setting. But I'm still with you, right? I think this a map like this, you've got Nicky and you've got Tiger over on Scout on the other side, and a map where the Scouts traditionally just run absolutely rampant. Yeah, this could be pretty rough.
This is we might be seeing some frag numbers in the 40s. It's definitely possible. These two have both been menaces on this map before. So pairing them up like this is almost. It seems like evil. It feels like it breaks some sort of international convention. You shouldn't be allowed to do that, but yet here we are, I suppose. I mean, Tiger hasn't even played a season in a while, and he's still absolutely pounding. He
It was
broke out of
Tiger's.
retirement.
Yeah, I think Tiger's last offie was it technically the I-71 LAN? Like
Maybe,
against like
yeah.
Tony, I feel like yeah, he might have subbed like at some point. I don't think he's played like ETF2L since then, at least. But obviously was one of the best, and is coming back, and obviously still kept a fair deal of that skill. So that's one thing. Over the other side, though, like I want to say, like I believe for the Skeda side, because Geordie was obviously on Skeda last season. Geordie was picking up the sniper on product and
True.
had some pretty good runs. And in pre-game, I've seen Geordie running around on sniper. So do you reckon this is like potentially some sort of pocket strat that the Dutch might be running?
I mean, it's possible, but you have Thomas on the other side, and man's an
That's
absolute
true.
menace as well. I mean, on every class he's picked up ever, right? But as well, just as much on a sniper. So that's a tough counter snipe to run. It's definitely possible. You'd also have to assume, Mac and Jordy, these guys have played together. Mac's going to be well aware of these sniper strats that are going to come out of Jordy, right? They've played on like every team that they've played together in Prem basically for the past few years. I don't think I've seen these guys play apart ever. So he's probably going to be well aware of what's coming his way potentially, and at that point, I don't know if it's that straightforward.
Yeah, potentially, but we can hope and yeah, I know last time we can. I'll throw you to predictions this time, right? I predicted last
Okay.
time, and the five. Do you think anything better is going to happen for the Netherlands this time?
It depending on how quickly they can get into this and how quickly they can suss out what England is going to do. I can see them getting a round at the very least. Like this could be like a 3-1, but I still think England's taking it. They're going to take like 2 quick rounds, then maybe Netherlands come back with 1, and then it's a grueling final round. But I don't see this going any other way other than England winning. It might be closer.
Oh my!
But we'll see. I suppose we'll see how it goes.
That's a heavy and a sniper.
I like the initiative. Okay, you got the heavy to mid as well on Annie for the Dutch side. Certainly interesting idea. They won't have much to counter this with just yet. We've got the sniper dealing plenty of damage for you as well. Unfortunately for you though, Thomas well aware where that sniper could be. And Alice taking care of as well means, yeah, there goes Annie. It's crumbling for the Dutch team immediately as the damage comes in. They find a Thomas as a consolation pick, but they gotta get out of there with the rest of their team, tail between their legs, and just accept that this first cap is going the way of England.
I respect the idea. The first mid just completely catch them off guard. The sniper and the heavy coming in, just people catching too many stray rockets over the point, and Thomas doing a great job. Meaning that the first mid obviously goes the way of the English. Pappy getting caught out by Alice though means another drop comes in.
They get the drop. I was gonna say there's no way they'd lose this exchange, right? They've got an ability to come back here easily against the English, but they just drop. Sykenz can't right click in time, and that is disastrous for the Netherlands here. Even if they trade out a couple of frags here and there, and by a couple I mean 1, well 2, okay, they find Tiger in the tail end there as well, but it's just not gonna be enough to keep themselves any chances of getting into this point again, even if they're only down 10% now because Auto took a while to get back to healing and stuff. It's gonna be such a tough hold to really get through here, even if they're grabbing some ground in the concrete side here now. They got to deal with the bombs around. Skyro's just picked off immediately. Jordy trying to get some ground, but won't do much either. And yeah, Yak spamming across the best he can. They're not getting anywhere near enough ground they want you to. Everybody's just bunched up in grass. The one player that's ahead immediately gets picked off by a swarm of mosquitoes, aka Nicky and Tiger. And you're just struggling to get out here. I think you just got to wait for the Uber at this point for the Dutch side. Alice gets taken care of. They trade out for Thomas once more, but is that really anything that matters? It's still a forward hold.
Yeah, it makes it somewhat harder to forward hold. It means Pappy's sort of eyes are split more, but it means actually going to get straight in onto Mac for free as the Ubercharge comes out. Mac not going to be a factor in this Ubercharge. There's actually Nicky is winning the fights though, so at least player-wise it is still going to be advantage over towards the English, but the Dutch have managed to break out somewhat. They're onto their own grass, but they're dropping players. Tiger winning the fight onto Yak. Bombs come in, and Cyclones goes down once more. Auto caught in the midst of things on the other side as Tiger is still just behind, like trying to fight people in main. This is getting so scrappy, but in the meantime, as we've had all these like back and forth fights around Blue Spawn, the point is actually like there's 45 seconds left, and the Dutch haven't grown the point yet.
I don't think they've ever stepped foot on that point yet in this entire round. They just haven't been allowed to even get close to it. There wasn't a single pixel of the color shifting to blue on that point just yet on the HUD, and they might have a chance to do it now. They do find a few frags, and crucially Auto goes down as well. Nice little bomb by Skyro in behind to get that one on the tables, and that might be the turn they need here. They do lose Yak, but they do trade him out for Tiger anyway, and okay, I was gonna say, unless this bomb does anything onto Cyclones, which it does, Pappy gets away with it even if they find Mac in turn. Surely they have to cap here. You gotta wait for Cyclones naturally, but they're gonna get this cap. At least the Dutch are gonna put some time on that point. At the very least.
That's something.
Yeah.
It was going so well, just those bombs over the point at the end, like just landing behind the rock, getting 3 kills with it as well, means that what could have been a massive advantage for Cyclones is not to be, and in these scrappy fights, when we spawner advantage for the English, it's going to be so hard for the Dutch to hang on in this one, but Geordie's jumped in up above and behind, going to do a lot of damage, and the second soldier of Skyro is in, going to get the kill onto Mac. Auto very weak all the way back on the grass, getting bombed again by Geordie. Auto gets taken down.
He gets those, and once more, they've got his number. Geordie doing so much work for his team. Annie a bit caught in as well, trying to follow up, but at the end of the day, you've got your crucial pick. You just got to keep your own medic alive against the counter sacks that are coming in now. Tiger, the first to lead the charge, gets cleaned up immediately though, and you just got to worry about that point. There are only 4 seconds. You cannot let England cap this point. You have to hold on to it for as long as possible, lest you want to avoid overtime as best as you can. And Nicky slips in basically to get the force out of Cyclones, but they gotta get as many frags as they can here onto England. And they find a few crucial ones at least. Nicky and Mac both taken care of, and the rest of the English team, at least for the time being, waiting in the ranks. I mean, you got Poppy behind to deal with as well, and he's been a bit of a thorn, but as long as you can keep him under control and somehow simultaneously also the point, you should have an okay time. Potentially taking a bit more time off of this. Unfortunately for you though, Auto's also closer to an Uber, and Pappy's in with a big bomb, doesn't quite get the kills he wants to, but it doesn't matter because the damage is there and the cleanup follows with Thomas and Mac, and there you go. They flip the point just as the round draws to a close with the wipe. There you go.
Yeah, late in cap time was actually pretty important there, right? Because England in that previous fight, they got the point about half cap, and it sort of stayed there for a while, and it meant in those scrappy fights, there's Pappy all the way behind, there's spam coming from the front, and like at some point, like the English realize they can just stand on the point, right? Like they can add like the third threat that the Dutch combo have to deal with at any given moment, and eventually, yeah, you can only stay with 4 seconds on your clock for so long before the round just ends. And yeah, England managed to do just that, and it was a resilient hold though for that last like minute or so there by the Dutch. They held on well, but 4 seconds is not an impossible task. But this mid-fight going a lot better for them than last time. They're taking a lot of damage, but Cyclone going to bump straight and get onto Auto. So he's the only player going down. Thomas and Tiger both also dropping on the English side. Pappy joining them in that too, and that just means Nicky and Mac, last 2 alive. Point getting capped up at the price of 2 soldiers, and the Dutch again, another mid-fight, another win for them.
Yeah, now we'll have to see how Nicky manages to get away with his kill onto Yak, which, because he does, obviously, he gets away with that one. I saw that one coming from a mile away, unfortunately for him. Yak's going back to the respawn queue, and that's actually going to make it quite tough here for the Dutchies to keep hanging on to this point as easily as they want to. They're going to have to use, matter of fact, trying to get anything done with it, and unfortunately for them, they're not going to be able to get any pressure onto Auto either. There's absolutely no pressure that guy's feeling whatsoever. They find the frag onto Thomas. Geordie manages to hit that headshot at the very least, but he's got to deal with the other soldier as well now, and manages to surf the rocket just about before having to probably back up with the rest of his team. I mean, we'll have to see, I guess, how well they can hang on to it, but Nicky already finds a frag onto one scout, runs to the combo with the other one, and they've got the points, so realistically, how aggressive do they really have to be? The sniper's taken care of. They can just wait now.
Yeah, there's a nice little headshot there onto Mac in the middle of that, but just not quite enough to land the kill, but it means now the English can just get this. Such a big clamp on these forward holds, and Annie getting caught already. Uber charge advantage over on Auto, and this can be very, very rough for getting out of. Alice can be the one picking up the mantle of the Pyro to try and air blast their way out of this forward hole, but it's going to be hard.
It's not an easy one to break. It's such a decisive one as well. Alice is
down.
taken care of immediately, so you're not getting out of that door. They lose Cairo as well, and it's not happening just yet. They're just going to keep burning time off of that clock, and even though England were behind at the start of the round, they're back in the lead on the clock once more, but they do lose Mac now. The forward hold has been busted, and they're actually going to go for the exchange. England's going to take in that Uber immediately. Obviously, it's better for the Dutchies, but they also have to flash a lot more, so the fading time isn't going to matter too much as Otto just serves out of there, magnificently surgically removed from the fight as the counter bombs just clean house on the Dutch side. Thomas 3 kills already. Papi trying to follow up as well. There's nobody to kill anymore because they're already gone. And just like that, they hang on to it easily.
That was such a good textbook Uber there from the English, right? They take the one scout in, cause so many flashes, Auto just surfs out to oblivion, and then as soon as the Dutch Uber fades, everyone just recollapses in onto that combo, and they get so many frags for it. I mean, the Auto now does have a small advantage to work with, but that doesn't really matter, right? They're forward holding, they've got the clamp set up again, and there's a minute left on the clock. The Dutch are going to have to try and battle their way out, and we saw last time that entire fight was off the back of a free kill onto Mac. Mac might not give that away again.
Well, we'll see whether they get away with it once more. Alice decided to pick up the normal flamethrower this time, realizing that maybe just having a couple extra air blasts could be the difference. We'll see, I suppose, but they're deciding they're going to break the forward hold the other way. Instead, they're going to go through cliffside, and you know what? It's working. They're getting some grounds. Mac is getting juggled around once more, just completely out of position for that one, won't be able to do much, and there you go, they found some grounds. They're out there. They only lost one scout for it, which allows Thomas to slip in from behind, and he's gonna waddle right onto this combo. One rocket gets the force, the other one juggles the soldier into the skybox, and he's probably gonna escape with his life as well. At least, okay, no, he does crater, but yeah, they gotta get out of chase this med frag as best they can, and Otto is just a slippery little eel. Yak tries his best, but he will not be able to get that kill, and they're not putting any time on that point anymore, bro. I don't think it's happening.
Yeah, this one's over, I think. There's no one's even really trying for it, right? Jordy's maybe thinking about bombing in through this left-hand side. Going to try and save up onto the point, but is going to be caught out in the connector. As round number 2 goes to the close. And again, it was a good start, right, from the Dutch. They won the mid-fight. You've got to remember on the start of this, it was not far off a full wipe, right? Like, they got so many frags at the start, but only 35 seconds on the board as, yeah, there's forward holds coming out from the English. They're just so tough to get out of.
Well, we'll see if my prediction where they now get around holds true. If they have a chance to come back now, they're looking strong, the Dutchies. They just haven't been able to get onto that point enough and put down the time. Unfortunately, losing Yak immediately because he decided to just stand still in the middle of enemy fire is unfortunate. Waiting for that arrow that never came, and off the back of that, they're lacking a lot of damage. They're dealing a lot to the English team, to be fair, and they do find a frag out to Thomas at the very least, but they're just not getting anything else off the back of that. England's going to cap the point first once more, and just like that, I think we might be seeing a repeat of the last round because they're also holding quite aggressively already.
Yeah, the soldiers there over the top did so much damage, like you say. There was a couple of like 6 HPs, there was a 10 HP in there somewhere too, and it just wasn't quite enough. But the Ubercharge is used out from Auto, and its advantage Cycles does not have yet. Going to have to run out all the way into main, and I believe he's maybe getting out alive. But there's so many weak players. 2 players dropped already. Annie going to use the counter Uber straight back in. Auto ducking and weaving for a good old while. Going to take up the vast majority of this Uber. Cycles maybe not long for this world in the post, as Annie has too many people to shoot at and doesn't really manage to get too much else done with it once the kill into Auto and Nikki had come through. But again, the recollapse from the English is so good in these post Ubers. Cycles is never getting out post Uber.
Yeah, they had such a good Uber there, they even find Auto with it and everything, but they're just out of position completely as soon as it fades. Not ready for the remaining 4 players that were waiting in the ranks from the English side to come in and immediately just trunk on everybody. And there you go. They do get the point finally, at least of the very, very back of that. And hey, they find another frag onto Auto as well in the meantime. So they're definitely staying in this on the Dutch side. They're not giving up just yet, and they haven't ticked too much time off the British clocks or the English clock. I don't want to lump everybody else in there with them. It's a bad habit. But, you know, they've got at least a little bit of time. Stop there, and they're staying in this for now.
What a direct. Skyro directs Tiger there and literally saves the medic's life, but it doesn't matter at all because Thomas has obviously killed the medic. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It was cool. Unfortunately, nobody saw it, and it didn't matter at all because Thomas just slips in regardless. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. Unfortunate. You had a chance there, and now England's back in control. They got the point and everything. Jordy does slip in behind, but how long will this last? They're already aware of him. They're already peppering him down. He gets a nice rocket onto Otto. Nice follow-up as well, but he just hits the pack in time, and it doesn't matter at all. Now there's going to be a little bit more aggression. Sachs upon Sachs trying to get onto that medic, but it doesn't matter because you're just losing all of them, finding absolutely nothing as consolation, and matter of fact, you're giving yourself another beautiful opportunity to England here to try and forward hold once more.
Well, we've been here before, haven't we?
It's a similar picture. Weird sense of deja vu right now as Jordy picks up the rifle again as well, trying to do something. Unfortunately, soldiers can spam around corners with the normal rocket launcher, which is why it's better than the original, by the way. I'm lying, I used the original, but, you know. They can't shoot around corners. Yeah, it unfortunately benefits him there a little bit. Thomas managing to just shut down the sniper play, and Yak picking up the spy, apparently, just deciding, screw it. He's gonna try the dead ringer and immediately dies. Doesn't even have enough health to live. That's just embarrassing. I'm glad we caught that on camera because people aren't gonna live that one down for a while, I think.
Yeah, that was
they're breaking the forward hold.
To some extent.
Otto goes low, somehow he lives, but they managed to at least make them give up some grounds. But
they lose 4 players for it, right? There's a heavy coming up. There's no time to get in here, really. The overcharge comes out finally over onto the grass, but Otto is there, ready with the counter Uber. Some cap time comes through at least for the Dutch side, but it's barely any at all. Yak and he both not able to get to the point in time, and what a clean take that was from the English, 3-0 on Koth products, and that was pretty brutal, right? I know you said before it could be brutal. I think that counts as brutal.
No real surprises there, I'd argue. I don't think anybody was necessarily not expecting this to be the outcome. However, I do have to say, despite everything, the Dutchies putting up a decent fight at some points of that, They lost pretty straightforwardly. I'm just looking at Tiger's damage, and I expected this.
Yeah, that's something, right? 430 on the scouts. So that's the scout logs on product. Like if you're winning, like your scout logs on product's gonna be absolutely crazy. And 433. Like Tiger had a monster of a performance on the first map as well, but on products really stepped up. But yeah, that I think that guarantees England top spot regardless of what the result against Ireland is. I'm not quite sure on the maths of it. But I think like even a single point against Ireland would put them top spot and going through as one of the top seeds. But yeah, like what a dominant performance. It's the first time we've seen them, right? We obviously didn't know what roster they were going to come in with. You could form so many strong English rosters, right, with the players in Prem even currently, and bringing people like Tiger and stuff back from from seasons gone, and yeah, you can create some scary rosters. But this is the one that it looks like they're playing with this Nations Cup, and what a first showing that is.
Yeah, they're coming in swinging. Although, to be fair, I don't think anybody would have expected much different or much to go differently against Croatia. If we're being honest, this isn't football. In football, England losing to Croatia seems like a classic. Unfortunately for them, that is already all gone. That is not something that matters. In TF2, it's a different story. I just noticed, isn't it curious how we always do these Nations Cup exactly at the same time when there's a football Euro or World Cup? They're always at the exact same intervals. There's a 6v6 one every 2 years, and it just so happens to align with the summertime. How curious is that?
Yeah, because people love the like European country-based sports events, right? And like it's fun when you get situations like this. Like when you have the Dutch played England like last week, and it's sort of fresh in everyone's memory. Sort of potentially adds a little bit of banter and stuff. We saw that the team names and stuff. But yeah, it's a curious coincidence. But I guess England are potentially looking for a better outcome than they had at the end of the real Euros.
Well, I mean, they won't have to worry about Spain probably, but there's some national teams in TF2 that are certainly not going to be a cakewalk to go through. We'll see how that shakes out for them in the playoffs, because I don't think anybody is doubting that they're getting there. So realistically, we'll just have to see how it shakes out for every other team. There's plenty of groups, there's plenty of matches, some of which supposedly this week. I mean, we know of one. We know of one on Thursday that's going to be happening. I believe it's Germany and Hungary. So stay tuned for that. There's probably more. We'll see how they're scheduled. We'll see how many are going to be covered here on Essentials TF. For the time being, that is all I have to add. If you have anything else to mention, Ben, I believe we're done.
No, I think there'll be more of these games, and then playoffs, I believe, is Friday to Sunday of next week. So they're sort of compacting them down to 3 days. At least that's what the ETF2L page says. So I imagine we should have an action-packed weekend next weekend. But first of all, of course, you have to find out who gets there. So stick around. There's more games happening this week, and hopefully catch you all for some more Nations Cup action next time.
See ya.